Welcome to The Topic, where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. I'm Todd Duplantis. If you're watching us on HCC TV or any social media channel, you can also download our audio podcasts at hccs.edu/podcast. You know, just the other day, I got an email from my credit card company. They're going to issue me a brand new credit card because there was yet another data breach. Now, this is probably the second or third credit card I've gotten from this company over the last few years because of data breaches. How do you combat this? Well, HCC is teaching the next generation of cybersecurity experts. Joining me right now is Samir Saber, and you're the chair of Digital Information Technology Center of Excellence, correct?
Correct.
All right. Thanks for being here on The Topic.
Thank you.
Now, cybersecurity, I imagine it covers a vast range, but like what happens with my credit card? Are you guys going to, are your students going to be out there in the future trying to keep these breaches from happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of many. One of the challenges they have is they have to protect the old systems, the old software, and the new ones. So all the old issues, you know, are relevant as well.
So does that fall under cybersecurity? I mean, maybe you can tell us what is cybersecurity and what you guys encompass.
It's a very broad term. I mean, the other words are information technology security or computer security. It's really anything that touches data, IT systems, and people.
Right. Which is now just about everything that's sold electronically is connected to some type of data. You're downloading some type of data. You know, one of the things I hear about all the time, and maybe you can bring some light to this, when you hear about these new apps that are popping up, and then the news is coming out, the regular news, and telling you, well, watch this app because it could be collecting data from you that you don't want to be giving to these companies. Is that another thing you're working with your students on in those type of issues?
Yeah, that's the umbrella of that is data privacy, and that's another huge issue. I mean, just this weekend, for example, the FBI warned all Thanksgiving buyers, you know, on Black Friday,
right,
about smart TVs because
I saw that the report this
morning. They're
insecure,
yeah. They're hard to update, you know, and you know, they collect all kinds of data. So, you know, people don't know these things, and like you're saying, those apps we quickly accept the agreement, but we're not aware that they're tapping into our cameras or our text messages or pictures or
right,
everything. So someone's collecting and selling.
When someone is interested in getting into cybersecurity, what are some of the job venues they can go into? Because I imagine it's just as much as a broad range of programs, there are a broad range of jobs involved, correct?
There are. So I was just at the NICE conference 2 weeks ago. It's the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. And they just unveiled an updated version of their website called CyberSeek, where they partnered and they got a bunch of data. Anyways, the outcome of that, 500,000 job openings in the U.S. right now.
Wow.
That's from 2 years ago. That's up 200,000 already. Texas alone, we have 43,000 jobs. So it's the areas are all over. They're mostly around the analytical piece
right,
of it, the maintenance. Those are the main areas, but there are so many niche areas just within cybersecurity. It's we need more people involved. A lot of people don't realize that it's not really all about technical skills. There's
right, something
for everyone, and just based on their backgrounds, it can provide a lot of insight on how to secure systems and people.
When a young student or someone just comes to you and says that they want to get into cybersecurity, you guys have advisors who can counsel them as to which ways to go and give them some ideas, and I imagine you'd see what their interests are as to what direction you'd steer them.
We do. We have advisors, but you know, at the end of the day, our faculty, myself, even the dean, we're very hands-on. So it's very difficult to advise students because it's such a broad area, and that demands many different skill sets. So we really have a lot of one-on-ones with students to figure out, you know, what they like to do. And
right,
the good news is the talent is out there. A lot of people just don't know they have it. And so I'll give you an example. This year, SANS, a big organization in the U.S., did a cyber fast track competition. It was a 3-phase competition. The first phase was cybersecurity acuity to see if it's your thing, because they're really trying to reach out to everyone. And a lot of those students that did really well were not even cybersecurity students. They
had no
heard
idea
about it.
Yeah.
And they just love solving puzzles and issues. and that's what's drawing people in to this field.
That's interesting. So if you love solving puzzles and things like that, this might be the route to go. Here's another question for you: can you get a viable job and start your career with a certification, a 2-year degree, or do you have to go on to a 4-year degree?
The good news is even a high school degree can get you there, or not
With
even.
a certification afterwards,
With
right?
certification
Yeah.
certainly helped. For entry level, our level 1 cybersecurity certificate is a good way to kind of just get in. You take 5 classes. They're all aligned with industry knowledge units, so they line up for jobs. And so
How
a lot
long
of
does that
students do that. You can do it in 1 semester. But,
Really?
it can be about a semester and a half. It's 5 classes for the level 1.
Okay. And then can you go out and do you help them find jobs? Can you get them a job with a level 1 certificate?
We do. So we got a great new portal for our HCC Career Hub now, which makes it really easy for employers to put jobs on there. And so we've been encouraging students to look because there are lots of opportunities. And I encourage anyone listening to this, if you're an employer, please do.
And I know you and the dean, Sean Atmishi, are very active in going out to all these conferences. You guys are always busy.
Yeah.
And I imagine meeting with advisory boards and getting out there to the companies, because you have to go out and sell the college and get these jobs. They aren't just going to automatically come to us. You have to go introduce yourself and get that done, right?
We do. So we try to network as much as we can and form partnerships because, a lot of companies are starting to realize, they can't just cherry pick anymore. They need to be part of the solution and to start early on. And so, for example, Michael, that will be here a little bit later. We're already talking with him on how we can get involved with Houston SecCon, and those are the kinds of things. Another thing I was talking to him is we're bringing a capture the flag competition. A big one. We're partnering with another institution on that, so a lot of things like that.
We are talking with Samir Saber. He's the HCC Chair of Digital and Information Technology here at Houston Community College. We're talking cybersecurity. We've got a lot more coming up on cybersecurity for the next half an hour here on The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll be back shortly.
Meet Travion. His mom went to Houston Community College, so choosing that was easy. Choosing what to study from more than 100 instructional fields? Not so much. HCC, for everyone, anytime. This is Roenick. She's a mom with a physics degree, so she understands the power of momentum. And she knows that by learning English at Houston Community College, she'll be unstoppable. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thanks for joining us today. We're talking cybersecurity. HCC has a wonderful program on cybersecurity. It's a very growing program, and we're joined today by Samir Saber. He is the chair of the Digital Information Technology Program at HCC, and now we're joined by Michael Farnum, founder of Houston Security Conference, USecCon, as a shortened name's called. Thanks again for Samir being here. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Cybersecurity risks touch about everyone in society. What are the biggest risks that people will face right now?
Individuals, I think, is still, you mentioned it earlier, credit card fraud.
Yeah.
That's the big one. Everything about cybersecurity, the risk is people are trying to get money. The day of the what we used to call the hacktivist is not as big anymore. It's more about criminal activity and trying to get the money out of whoever's got it. So I think that's the biggest risk is credit card fraud, and that comes in many different forms. Y'all talked about a little bit of that earlier.
You know, it's interesting. I guess it kind of falls in this category, but I'll get these interesting emails from my alleged credit card company or bank that look very legit, and you have to really go hover over that email address to see where that email is going back to, and they're just simply looking to get your data, looking to breach it, right?
Absolutely. And Samir will back this up. I think it's interesting that you do hover over it to see where that is.
Yeah.
The idea that is actually prevalent in our society, that we have taught people in one shape or form to actually hover over. My wife does the same thing.
Right.
My kids do the same thing now. I think that's great, but that definitely that phishing, what they call phishing attack is very prevalent and very easy to hit, and they're getting much better at it too.
What risk do large organizations have to worry about?
Well, I would say it's all the risk that the common person has, but
Yeah.
on a much larger scale. You know, we're talking about data privacy, compliance, legislation, you know, nation-state actors, you know, much larger attacks, a lot of things that are outside of their own control even. So like supply chain is a huge issue right now, where you have to trust the third-party vendors and the
Yeah.
manufacturers from not getting breached, and many of them do it voluntarily
Right.
to tap into. And so, you know, you'll see a lot of news about, you know, China, Russia, Huawei, and all those providers that, you know, put, you know.
Well, you opened up a big can of worms, because I'm going to ask you about this. You know, the Russians are allegedly hacking into our electoral campaigns. Can the cybersecurity experts that you guys are training in the future help us to prevent things like this? Because, I mean, it's proven they're trying to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely can help, and then there are several people who are very, very focused on working in election cybersecurity. They've actually created groups within the cybersecurity community that focus on that, and they get a lot of people who are either paid or volunteer or whatever to try to just focus on it. The cool thing about the community is that a lot of people do this as volunteer, and they do a really good job because they're very, very passionate about it.
So to just piggyback on that,
Yeah.
so at DEF CON, you know, we mentioned that there's a voting village now. And so in 2017, I went, you know, with Sean actually, and within 90 minutes of opening that village where they had, you know, election machines, the machine that we used for 2016 election was hacked, fully compromised, wirelessly. It was incredible within 90 minutes.
Within 90 minutes.
And another comment I'll make, so this year DARPA funded a $10 million project. It's a government contractor to basically try to make a very secure machine and operating system. They're still in very beta mode, but they're getting there. So there's funding and research being done.
You mentioned, Samir, earlier about 500,000 jobs that are available. When you had the hacking controversy with Russia over the last couple of years, has that increased the amount of jobs that are needed in this industry from incidents, not just that one, but bringing attention on? Has that increased the job market?
I would say a little bit, not as much as the day-to-day analyst roles and maintenance of systems and the admin side of things.
Right.
You know, it's kind of a niche area because the issue is a lot of those bigger problems are not really something that the common person can fix. It's political.
Yeah.
You know, and even big corporations have so much control that they are able to control search engine results and all those things.
Right. What's the next cybersecurity issue that's on the horizon that we're going to be hearing about?
The more and more data that goes into the cloud, I think you're already seeing a lot of that happening now. I think that's becoming even more and more prevalent. Everybody is storing everything up into the cloud. I think from a corporate standpoint, that's already taken hold. People are having to make sure they secure whatever's in the cloud, but the individuals now don't even know it half the time. We're storing most of their data on your iPhone or your Android or whatever into the cloud. I think that is coming more and more under attack. I think I see kind of a new rise in hacktivism a little bit with all of the different countries having issues politically with a lot of protests and things. I think that is starting to come back on the rise as well. So whether that becomes as big of an issue as it used to be, I don't know. But those are two main categories I'm kind of looking at personally. So.
You know, you hear a lot about, maybe you two can explain to our audience and myself more about the dark web. You know, you hear about it, your information's out there in the dark web. The dark web has your email address, has your passwords. Is it real? I mean, is the dark web out there, and is this something that people can just get right on and look up our social security numbers?
You want to take that one? It's a weird concept
Yes.
within the
It's
within the
very
community.
easy. It's all it takes is a web browser basically, and that's it. You can just access all those sites that sell data,
Right.
credit cards, social security numbers, health records, you name it. They sell them there, and that's why it's such a profitable market for these hackers.
But is the dark web governed in any shape or form? Because is it illegal to log into it? Is it illegal to get out there if you search on it? Are cops going to come knocking at your door?
Most of the dark web, it's called the dark web, but the reason it's called that is most people are that are going there are protecting their identity in some way, shape, or form to get there via.
So they're trying to be anonymous.
They're trying to be anonymous. They're doing something like using a VPN or something like that to protect their identity when they go there. It's really just another series of places on the internet that anybody can get to. But if people who are trying to go there for nefarious reasons are trying not to get hit by police, and if you go there, police are actively monitoring those. A lot of FBI is monitoring those. A lot of intelligence services are monitoring those. And a lot of companies are offering services to big corporations to monitor those. Even things like LifeLock and things for individuals, they monitor those sites and use services that monitor them. So it's being actively monitored across the board.
You can think of the dark web as multiple smaller internets. Like
Okay.
the main dark web that we think of today, most of the criminals are not really going after that because it's already been done. It's been tapped. The NSA and stuff are looking. So it's really kind of like private micro little dark webs, if you will.
You mentioned LifeLock, and not to endorse a company, but is it wise for someone, a general person, to have a service like that is watching things for you and guaranteeing you some type of security?
I would say yes. I mean, there are ways of doing it yourself, of locking your security down that don't require you going out and getting a service like that. But the more that they offer services, like making sure your information's not on the dark web, things like that, or warning you if it is, I think it's worth it. They can be pretty expensive, but there are also things you could do if you just take some time to lock your credit down that could pretty much protect you against any of that kind of fraud.
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to hold you on that. That was going to be my next question. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Samir, thank you for joining us on the show today. We appreciate it. And I'll be back with Michael Farnum from USecCon to tell us more. We're talking cybersecurity here at Houston Community College. Stay tuned to the topic.
This is Daniel. On his way to becoming a rock star, he got burned, literally. So he changed his tune and his career, and he's starting at Houston Community College. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
We have academic programs that help students get from high school into a university. And the data is very clear that students that take the path of a community college finish in far higher numbers than students that start straight into a university experience. Our students can achieve a baccalaureate degree in multiple fields from the universities in the area without ever leaving Houston Community College.
Meet Saskia. She loves cars. Seriously, she whistles at them. So she's studying engineering at Houston Community College. After that, a four-year degree. Then it's off to the races. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
Welcome back to the topic on HCC TV and across the internet. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thanks for joining us today. We've got Michael Farnum now. He is from the Houston Security Conference, HUSECCon, and we're talking cybersecurity. It's a very fascinating subject because everybody needs to lock down your credit. You need to lock down your security on the internet. And before we left the last segment, you were mentioning there are some, you can certainly subscribe to a company like LifeLock, but you can also do some things yourself that would guarantee or protect you. What would those be?
So I think the biggest way of doing it is going into the credit companies, Experian, any of those. All of them offer services for you to lock your credit down to where no one can use it. You can't get a loan. You can't do anything, any kind of credit inquiry that a car dealership would do,
Right.
or a home, some kind of company like that when you're trying to buy a home, title company. They can't do anything unless you give them, unlock it for a certain amount of time or give them a code to unlock
Okay.
it. Different ones do it in different ways. That pretty much guarantees that nothing can happen without your say-so to your credit, which is the biggest
Right.
issue. Banking sites and things like that are generally, the finance world is actually pretty much the most secure area of our industry because they've been doing it so long.
Right.
And in the United States especially, they are the ones that are liable for it. So you can a lot of times depend on them to lock those things down.
Yeah.
Similar to the credit card issue you had before. They
Right.
issued you a credit card.
They did. Yeah.
Proactively, and it said, I got the same warning, it
Right.
said, you are not liable for any of this. So in the United
Yeah.
States, it's on them, so they have to be secure.
And according to them in the email, which I'm sure went through a lot of PR experts, but according to them, it was for a breach, and more than likely, it didn't even affect me.
Yes.
But it was for a possible breach, and they wanted to give me a new credit card anyway.
It costs, it's very minimal for them
Right.
from a cost standpoint to do that, and it protects them. The ROI, the return on investment,
Sure.
is gargantuan in order for them to do that. It's very simple, and then they protect themselves by a lot because they're the ones liable for those charges.
I want to talk about the Houston Security Conference, and what exactly is it, who attends it? It's called HUSECCon.
HUSECCon.
And is this an annual thing? What exactly is it?
It is an annual conference. We started back in 2010. We started out with about 120 people, and it's all cybersecurity expert focused in general. We don't limit it to that. Anybody
Right.
can attend. We've been doing it since 2010, 120 people. Now I think we're about to hit 900 people.
Wow.
So it's grown by a lot.
When does it happen?
It happens this year, 2020, it'll happen in May, so it's
Okay.
generally in the springtime, April to May timeframe, down at the Marriott Marquis, downtown Houston. We are cybersecurity expert focused, but anybody who's interested can come. The tickets are actually really cheap, $50 or $75, because we don't want to have that as a barrier. We have sponsors there, that people who want to sell into the industry, and they help fund it. We're a nonprofit 501c3, so we really want this to be community accessible and anybody interested. We have discounted student tickets.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if there's something for students, because is this something that well, obviously, the gentleman from HCC from
Yes.
going there. So is this something that students should be looking to attend? To
Absolutely.
get inside, and would it help them get a job in the future, too?
It absolutely would. So every year we have a job board there. So we have anybody that is looking for work can post on a big board, and anybody who is looking to hire someone can post on a board. And it's a physical board that they can go put
Right.
there. And so you put your info if you want to get a job. Actually last year we had a company that had a recruiting booth specifically there looking for people to get into cybersecurity or needed a job in that industry because they had several, like we talked about earlier. There's a lot of opportunity. They've got literally 20, 30 job openings right now. So.
And what type of companies are we talking here? Can you name a few of them that are involved with the HUSECCon?
So sponsorships would be the people who are involved, or people you would think of like McAfee,
Okay.
Symantec.
Okay.
Another company people are starting to hear about is a company called CrowdStrike. Any of those that are focused on the cybersecurity, and they sell into companies to try to help secure their environment. The company specifically that was there for recruiting was the Friedkin Group, and they have a group that does Toyota dealerships.
I used to work for them. Yeah,
Okay,
very
so
familiar with them.
they had a recruiting booth there as well. So it's across the board.
So really, Samir was talking about, which is astounding, 500,000 jobs throughout the country. Here in Texas, we're at around 45,000.
he would know more than I
Yeah.
would, but it sounds low, honestly, to me.
Wow,
just
that's
in
what I thought.
Texas.
Yeah, in Texas, you know.
It's we're in a negative employment state. You talk about unemployment stats.
Right.
We're in the negative. We need more and more people. What we like to hear, or what we've heard sometimes, is there's a skills gap shortage. There's actually not. It's a skills gap and not a talent shortage. There's
Yeah.
plenty of talent out there, like Samir talked about. We need to fill that with people who just don't know that this is an available area to go into.
And this just falls, you speak skills gap, that really is something that it falls with really what community colleges are needed
Absolutely.
for, to train the workers. And we're not talking, jobs. These are good level jobs to go out into when you get trained through our level 1 programs and all that. These are jobs that go out there. If someone's interested in getting into cybersecurity, ball estimate, what would you give them as far as money they might make in their first year, and really what they could make? Is there a ballpark figure?
I think an entry level, what we would call like an analyst 1 level, is probably going to start in probably the 45 to 50K range,
Wow.
if not
Okay.
more. And that's pretty much immediate, and
Yeah.
it goes up from there relatively quickly.
Well, that was going to be my next question. From your experience and the employers you've dealt with, they allow these students or workers to come in and start moving up fairly quickly?
Absolutely. The security analyst 1 and 2 type levels, though, I mean, if you're there more than a couple of years, then you need to consider figuring out why, because you get skills really quickly, and they want to move you up. There's a concept of a lot of the activities that they do now at that level 1 getting automated by computer and by machine learning and that kind of thing. So those skills, they need to move up very quickly, because those lower level jobs are starting to get automated. So yeah, you can move up very, very quickly and learn that, and the skills and the pay goes up very quickly.
In 2010, what was the biggest concern as far as cybersecurity when you started this? What was the thing, and is it obsolete now?
Back then, it was probably all virus level malware.
Yeah.
So it's not obsolete. That's still
Right.
there, but it's entered a whole new world.
Yeah.
So now it's what we call advanced persistent threat, things like that, where nation states, that kind of thing. So it's different, but the same. It's hard to explain.
Michael Farnum, it's a fascinating subject. Thank you for being here, and thanks for partnering with Houston Community College.
Absolutely.
You know, you do.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here on the topic. If you, once again, are watching us on HCC TV or social media, make sure you download the audio podcast at hccs.edu/podcast. For the topic on HCC TV, I'm Todd Duplantis. I'll see you next time.